election. She is the host of Sinclair's Sunday TV program. It's called Full Measure. Cheryl Atkinson is with us, and Fox News contributor Sara Carter. Sara, let's start with you and all of this breaking news. And, you know, obviously we're making progress. I have no faith in the DOJ at all to do what they're supposed to do.
But I do have faith, Sean, thankfully, in the House Intelligence Committee, the Senate Judiciary Committee, who's unraveled, along with us, a lot of reporters that have been on this. I want to talk a little bit about the timeline, Sean, because you brought that up. This is so important. The timeline is unraveling. It's unraveling on the DOJ, on all the people that were involved in this investigation. Let's just go back. In March 2016, President Trump makes that announcement that Carter Page, George Papadopoulos are part of his foreign policy team. And then if you look at that, then it goes into May 2016. Papadopoulos, he meets with Downer. And let's just lay this out. July 2016, Carter Page, he attends this event. Halper's there. Halper approaches him for the first time. But remember, it was April 2016 when Christopher Steele gets hired by Fusion GPS, which was paid for by the Hillary Clinton campaign and the DNC to begin the investigation. And most importantly, in the early spring, after Trump made that announcement in March 2016, Loretta Lynch and James Comey, along with senior officials of the Obama administration, and this is in the report, in the unredacted report, have a meeting about Trump's announcement.
When is
and
this?
They just think about that.
What? Give me the date.
So if you go back in the early spring, right after March 2016, when Trump makes the announcement that Carter Page is on his team, that's when Loretta Lynch, senior officials, including James Comey, and this is very senior officials within the Obama administration, they've not been disclosed yet. That's when they have a meeting about Carter Page, and that's when they debate whether or not to tell the Trump campaign at the time that Carter Page at one point was approached by the Russians. There's no way this investigation began in the summer of 2016.
This is outrageous.
I find it very, yes.
All right, let me bring Cheryl Atkinson in. We don't have time to go through. You have put together a comprehensive, Cheryl, timeline of events that is so devastating, starting in 2011, if my mind serves me well, when they changed the rules in terms of the intel gathering availabilities and powers of the intel community against American citizens. Walk us through why this timeline you put out is so important.
Well, it's simply a listing of facts that have happened over the course of the last couple of years that perhaps made what we now see happening more easy to occur. I mean, if you look at surveillance on a U.S. citizen, whether it's a journalist or a political figure, is supposed to be one of the most sensitive things we do under the strictest of oversight, under the rarest of conditions. And if you look at what we now know, what happened with the Trump campaign, we know that either as many as, perhaps more, than 7 Trump associates were either wiretapped or otherwise electronically surveilled, that at least 1 informant or spy was placed with the campaign, and I have 7 other features of a counterintelligence operation, perhaps used for political purposes, that I've outlined. You put all that together and you think, was this the go-to, really, if the government thought there was going to be Russian interference in an election? Or would the logical thing to do, if that were really the concern, be to go to each campaign and brief them and warn them, which would be more effective? Or do you start a spy campaign that involves only one campaign?
Is Sara Carter and Sean Hannity and John Solomon and Greg Jarrett and Sebastian Gorka, do you believe we're right? And I know you're an objective journalist. You worked at CBS, although you were mistreated. Is this the biggest abuse of power you've seen in all your years of reporting?
I would say this is right up there, but I would expand it. It's not just, as I've long said, in my view, what happened during the 2016 campaign. It's why the intel community was so desperate not to have an outsider like Trump come in and nose around what they were doing for the past 8, 10, 12, 15, 20 years, which we're seeing some of that now. I think that's almost a more important part of the story once we get past what happened in 2016.
But the
it's
point
not
is,
just because, in my view, these people hated Trump.
I'll give you the last word, Sara, but they went after the candidate, they went after the president-elect, and they've tried to not only delegitimize, I think as Judge Ellis said, This is about putting the screws, just one case, Manafort, and getting him to sing so that they could prosecute or impeach this president. Is that true?
I believe that is true, and I also believe what Cheryl is saying is very important. I believe the scope of this is so much bigger, and there was a reason why they didn't want him there, and Cheryl's right on the money because of those expansive powers and those abusive powers. And I think until the House Intelligence Committee and the Senate Judiciary Committee gets these documents, we won't have all the answers.
They're hiding them. They are covering up, and probably as we speak, they're probably asking Hillary, how do I get a hold of the bleach pit? That's my guess. Thank you all for being with us. Great work. And when we come back, Ed Henry has a live report from the White House on this FBI spying